Hey guys, and welcome back to Scotty Knows. Today we're actually going to do something a little bit different and go back actually to the D16Z6 motor, which I actually have wrapped up in the bag over here. Sorry for the fan, it's a little warm today, but I actually got this plastic over it to keep any debris from getting in there. Also, as you notice, I probably took the valve cover off here because, like I said in a couple previous videos, I'm actually going to be repainting it. So I had a couple good sized runs and it wasn't too perfect. It was actually a little chilly out when I painted it, so I'm going to go ahead and get this thing resprayed. I got it scuffed down a little bit, so we're going to go ahead and re-primer coat it, spray it again, and hopefully it comes out really well. Naturally, I'm going to be painting over the top of the VTEC, but I'll go ahead and sand that down because I do actually like the way that looks. It goes with the motor very well. Plus, I do have a whole mess of parts here that I've actually been accumulating here over the last month or so, month or two. And I really want to start putting some of this stuff on, so I want you all to join me on that journey. So let me get this valve cover painted and we'll get back with you. So while I wait for that primer coat to dry, I'll go over some of the stuff I got here. But I got a whole bunch of fittings here, some 10AM fittings, which I'm actually going to use for my fuel system, or not my fuel system, but the oil catch can. But as far as the fuel system goes, I did go with the Aeromotive fuel filter, which is actually a 6AN, which should work pretty well with my 6AN line I have here, which is actually coming off of the fuel rail, the Golden Eagle fuel rail. So it'll come in, wrap around to the fuel filter, all that good stuff. So I'll probably get all this stuff tight in the video. The other thing I did mention is about the catch can. So what I actually have here is an adapter that actually goes to the PVC chamber, or whatever this black box is called. So this is actually going to replace that. And what I'll be able to do is put one of those 10AM fittings right on here and run right to the catch can. So let me go ahead and I'll get this installed here, but I'm going to remove this box first. So let me grab some tools. So there we have it installed. Again, 10AM fitting, and this is actually going to be used to release some of the pressure from the turbo setup that I have going on in there. But also too, use the original nut, use the original mounting area. And as you can see next to it, I do have the sandwich adapter. I just kind of have sitting in there right now. I got to figure out how I want to orientate this. I'm sure that'll probably change once I get my turbo set up. So I might not go ahead and tighten that yet. Kind of wait to see how I want to orientate it for the oil pressure lines, fuel lines. I mean, not fuel lines, the turbo oil pressure lines, all that good stuff. So I'll probably leave this a little bit loose till I get ready to set that up, and then naturally the oil filter goes right on top of that. So we should be good to go. So another thing I want to mention too, speaking about relieving pressure, is I actually have the quick vent oil cap, which is actually brought by Level 7 Performance. Which is actually going to be pretty cool. So it sits actually on top of the valve cover and replaces the oil cap. So the cool thing about this, if I can get it out, you can see, is that opposed to me actually having to drill vents and put two bungs on top of the valve cover, like we do traditionally, we'll actually have this, which actually screws in to the oil cap, and you put two 10AM fittings on top here that run to the catch can. So ideally I'm going to have about 3 vents going to the catch can, and I think this will look kind of cool. It is polished, the aluminum sitting on top of the valve cover, so I think it'll look pretty cool, and see how it looks. So once I get the valve cover painted, we get that freshened up, we'll go ahead and get this installed. So I also have about 10 feet of 10AM fitting hose here. I'm not sure if I'll need all that, but we'll go ahead and once we get the motor installed, we'll start to retrofit this and make sure we're good to go. May even have to cut it a little bit beforehand. That way I can install it to the back of the block. It'll make it so much easier. But also have the AN fitting tools here. So that way I can, secure the hose, all that good stuff. Of course, naturally, I got the valve cover hardware, Honda OEM. I have the valve cover gasket, some of my 6AM fittings that I'm going to use for the fuel line. Of course, I have my spark plugs, which is a V-Power. They're actually used for the Turbo Civic. Should run a little bit cooler than a standard plug. And of course, my NGK wire setup. So yeah, we're getting there. But let me go ahead and check on the valve cover and see how that's going. So we can go check this thing out here. Hopefully it's getting dry. Of course, I don't have the best lighting. I actually have a couple lights that are out. I need to redo some lighting in here. So it's not the best lighting. But I should be able to get done what I need to. But yeah, got the primer coat on there. It's looking good. Setting up for the bright red. Then of course, once we get this done, we'll go ahead and get this seated on. We'll go ahead and put the spark plugs in and hopefully tighten up the block. So just real quick, while paint dries on the valve cover, I'm making a little bit of progress. You'll see updated in the delsol build video, but got my AC lines starting to get installed here. I decided to go with AC just because I work outside and it gets hot. I'm starting to run the lines in for the AC. I still got to mount them, but I got some more brackets painted, some down here, starting to clean up the power steering rack. Still got to clean up some of the subframe. Just coming along. So one thing you may have noticed walking around is I actually have some of the new silicone hoses. I attempted to put one on here, however, it's real tight, so I'm not even sure how I'm going to get a clamp in there. I guess I'm going to have to figure that out somehow. But real tight fit in here, really no space in there, so I'm not sure what I'm going to do about that. However, I will get it on, so not a big deal. Of course, I did start to install some of the other hoses. You've probably seen that in the delsol build video. With some of the other coolant hoses I have here, plus a new piece, the little adjuster for the coolant for the AC and heat. I got that installed there, so it should look pretty good. Kind of almost looks invisible in there, you can't really see it, but it is right there. Alright, so there we have it. I went ahead and got this all polished up, looking a lot better. It's definitely a lot cleaner. Definitely got rid of those runs that I had in there, so it's coming out pretty well. So with this, I actually used a, I think it was a 320 to finish it, and I think a 150 to kind of get the rough edges in there, and then kind of polish it up with a 320 just to kind of make it a little bit smooth. I'm sure I could go higher than that, but I'm okay with that. So I'm going to go ahead and send this valve cover and see how we go, so I can get myself prepped, get this thing ready, and then we'll get it installed on the motor. Alright, so before I get this thing mounted on the motor, I'm actually going to install the level 7 quick vent. Again, here I have this, which is actually a 34 millimeter, so I have a really huge socket for that. It's the best I can find currently, so we should be good to go on that. And plus, I'll make sure everything here is tight. So let me get my tools and we'll get this on. So here we go. I went ahead and got that on. Just kind of sat the valve cover up there. Still got to put the valve cover gasket, but I think this thing looks pretty solid. Again, it is the 10AN, which I'll probably get the wrap around, you know, the back to the catch cam, wherever I decide to mount that. But I got plenty of hose for that, so that shouldn't be too much of an issue. I think it looks pretty solid. So I got some of my Honda Bond. I'm going to try to get some of that on here, get this gasket on, and should be good to go to install some spark plugs. So I did apply the Honda Bond where the cam sits on all 4 sides. So it should be ready to go to mount this thing, the valve cover, so let's hop to it. I'm not gonna lie, these things are kind of a pain to put on. The big ones not so much. The small ones, you know, not too bad. But yeah, we'll go ahead and get these on, get them bolted down, and should secure the valve cover. Alright, so I got all my valve cover bolts on. I can kind of see, so I got my camera plugged into the wall here, so to give you a quick walk around, but they're all in, torqued down to about 9 pounds of torque. And then over here, I'm actually going to be installing my spark plugs. So I got my spark plug tool, my gap tool, and I've already kind of gapped them. Again, just for reference, they are the NGK BK47Es. And all the research I've done states for turbo applications that 0.030 on the scale here should be about what you want. So I've already gapped them. They seem to be right on point, factory out of the box. So I don't have to do too much work with that. However, what I am going to do is actually put some anti-seize on the threads here and get those put in. So let's rock and roll. Alright, so with the spark plugs in, valve cover tight, everything good, I'm going to go ahead and install the spark plug wires, which I have out here. Of course, I have a diagram when I pulled them, so I know which position to put them in, so we should be good to go. So let me go ahead and get that ready. There we have it, got all the wires installed, hooked up to the distributor here, and eventually I might go to the helicoil style setup or whatever they have for it, you know, but for now at least this will work. Hopefully get everything started. Of course, I still got some brackets to put on here, actually in the process of getting the mount painted that'll actually hold the wires in place, so we're getting there. So I'll get that painted, get this on, and we'll see how it looks. Alright, so here we go. I went ahead and got the crankshaft cover cleaned up, pulled this off another motor that I had due to the one that I ordered didn't fit. So hopefully I can get this on, get it mounted, and get the drive pulley on. here we are. I went ahead and got the crank on. Again, I'll get my torque wrench out and double check. It's supposed to be like 100 and, I don't know, 26 pounds, something like that. I'll check out the book, so don't quote me on that. But got the cover on. Everything's looking good. Got the alternator belt nice and tight. Everything looks good. So I think we're good to go. Well, I think that's going to wrap up the video for this episode for the D16Z6 build. But it is coming along. I went ahead and got the bracket painted. I got the lines or the wires on there. Everything is good. Everything is secured. But it's looking good. It's definitely coming along. Definitely a work in progress. I went ahead and got the covers on. All that's looking good. I got the alternator belt on. So we're looking good. That's going to do it for this episode of the D16Z6 build. So I appreciate you guys for watching. Definitely stay tuned for some new content. I do have some epic stuff coming. Hopefully that comes in soon so I can get it done sooner than later. But stay tuned. But follow along. Continue to watch the build. Please like, comment, subscribe. And until next time, I'll catch you guys later. Thank you again for watching and stay tuned. Peace.